What is up, YouTube? It's Acid Roots after taking basically almost a 6-year break from this game. The last time I updated an episode from this series was in October of 2015, and I kind of felt like, hey, you know, let's beat this game already. I mean, I think this is something that was, you know, I could do and have, you know, taken care of. Plus, it's another game to kind of do at this point in time, because I've got some ones I want to do, but I don't really know as far as, like, I don't really know as far as what the Super Nintendo's going to be able to do. So, I want to do Donkey Kong Country 2, and then I also want to do Final Fantasy Mystic Quest, but the thing about it was, on Final Fantasy Mystic Quest, I tried doing that on Acidic Roots, but I kind of scrapped the project just because I had problems with energy drinks around that time and I lost the motivation. But so I want to do that again, but I'm just trying to knock out some of these games to once again get more content on the channel. But as I haven't touched this game since 2015, and I actually found it in my drawer at another house, and you know, obviously if I would have lost the game, that would have been stupid, but I just remembered, I found it, and I was like, you know, I'm gonna fuck with this game again. I mean, if I had done this like 5 months sooner, it might have helped a little bit more, but essentially, you know, I think I have the distinction to be able to beat this game. But I will tell you that I forgot the technique, so I didn't even know that you could run, and I didn't know that you could kick bombs. I figured that out later on, but these Wario characters are pretty shrewd, and that's the thing. They run, the bomb fuses are short, so that means they explode quickly, so it's just not that simple, because it seems like I'm always the one that gets fucked over in this schematic because of the short fuses, because it doesn't give you a lot of time to run away from the huge explosion bombs. So you do have the dash ability to help, but I don't figure that out until like minutes later in this playthrough. So lots of deaths in the beginning. This is going to be complete Wario whipping Bomberman's ass for a while. And then when we get to the multiples, this is like, nah. So, and they know how to kick. I mean, that's the thing. They will kick the bombs. They don't even care. They don't care if they die. They will still kick the bombs, because if you die, you have to restart. So they're not going to care about... It's basically a merciless kind of attitude, so they'll kick the bomb even if it kills them, is what I'm trying to tell you. So, but yeah, so that's just kind of the manifesto. I mean, this is a hell of a game. I definitely feel like this is one of the best Game Boy games that the machine has to offer, but it's just so low-key, and it was low-key like 5, 6, 7 years ago, so this is kind of like... I mean, it's just a forgotten gem, and there never was a sequel to it, so this is kind of just off the wall, and it was crazy. So, it's good to get back to it. I figure I can beat this game. If I can do it when I'm 12, I should be able to do it when I'm 31, and, you know, when this kind of happens to be the remark. All things considered, I mean, I'll tell you right now, it's snowing pretty effectively throughout Missouri, and so obviously I'm not really going anywhere, and it's cold, the pandemic is still in full effect, but I mean, and that's just kind of the manifesto. I mean, you look at it, and there are just a lot of signs pointing to not doing anything. I can't quite figure out what, you know, the trajectory for what I'm supposed to be doing kind of is, because it's like, well, there's no one to talk to hardly besides Jackal Goldkick, and I mean, Cobalt's just playing his PC games and quietly going to work, and it just leaves about most, I mean, you could say Gary, but, you know, besides those fellows, I mean, there's just not an overabundance of fellows to really mess around with and such. So that's just kind of the situation. This is relatively low-key and such, and on this, it's more low-key than it was last year when the pandemic started. I'm hoping that the Biden administration will continue to put a foothold on this so we can get back in motion, because I do have plans for things. I mean, I haven't really even said them on Acidic Roots as far as stuff that I want to do once, you know, everyone's vaccinated. I mean, a couple members of my family have gotten their first vaccine shot, but I don't know when I'm gonna get it. So that's the thing. I'm not going anywhere until I do. I mean, I used to go to gas stations, Walmart. You can kind of see some of those videos, but I'm not going to those places until I get the proper, you know, equipment. And but I do have plans that are going to surface as soon as I can. I mean, some of these plans, they may not manifest until at least 2022, but I'm just kind of like, if that's what it takes, that's what it takes. I mean, this whole, to me, this whole pandemic is just idiocy. I mean, it really had no semblance of logic attached to it whatsoever. And I hope, you know, when all things are taken care of, we learn that bats are not aphrodisiacs. As the one thing, if you're going to take any lesson from this pandemic, it's just like, don't eat a bat to help with your sexual prowess. So, that just kind of happens to be the thing. But, you know, because we're just kind of looking after, like, the type nonsense that's actually going on and shit, and I'm just kind of trying to figure out some of these things. I did pick up a Billie Eilish CD, so, I mean, honestly, I looked at that, and that basically, I think, won the Album of the Year for the Grammys in 2020, and they haven't even done the Grammys for 2021 because of the pandemic, but Billie Eilish won Album of the Year for the 2019 year, and the only real song I know by that is just, what's it called? Bad Guy. I mean, she's a pretty effective musician, but, I mean, she is basically Cobalt's age, and I'm trying to get used to some of these people, so I'm not just like an old relic. You know, just because I'm a millennial doesn't mean I'm old and crusty, so I have to make sure that we're aware of that, so I'm going to start listening to a few of those songs and such and see what's up with Billie Eilish. Because apparently she's supposed to drop her second album this year, something like that. But, and then meanwhile, I have to get more Final Fantasy VII taken care of, which is another thing I'm going to have to do. And, see what I'm talking about? That was just a smart move, that kick. He just kicked it right back. That's the thing, I have to press the B button to kick, so that's kind of the situation. Or maybe I do, I don't know. I don't know if I have to press the button, you might, but those guys, they will just kick, they don't care. So, you have to use, like, real tricks to be able to beat them. I might have been able to do this a lot simpler back in 2015, but whatever. So, I was also thinking about doing Illusion of Gaia, but I don't want to get roped into doing an RPG that, I don't want to get roped into doing an RPG that I only get like 40% and then I get pissed off or bored with it, because that happens also. I don't really say that I get bored with LPs, but sometimes I just do. I mean, that's kind of the thing. I get 15, 16 parts into it, and I say, you know, not in the mood to follow through with this. And that's kind of what happened with Wario Blast. I mean, yeah, I just, frankly got bored of it. I don't know if I actually tried. I mean, whatever gameplay I recorded after part 7 is basically lost at this point, between me having a different laptop and shit like that. I mean, just me thinking, I mean, because that's back in year 1 of Acidic Roots, is this game, the stuff I did before this episode. So, I mean, I'm in year 6 now, so it's just kind of, I mean, that's a lot of stuff. I mean, I had some gameplay that I had on Cobalt's hard drive that I had, but that's lost. I mean, I think that's since deleted just because it wasn't my hard drive, and he probably thought that I'd used it and such. So, like Super Mario Bros. 3, I got basically through that whole game minus 2 stages, but that's gone for good. So, I don't know if I'll ever beat that game, or if I'll just leave it as like the canceled project like Capri Sun. But that's just kind of the thing. So, the Super Bowl happened. That's another thing that happened recently. I did Women Montage 2, and then I did some Super Bowl stuff. But I'll tell you, I mean, the Super Bowl, that's everything associated with the Super Bowl is just money. They don't fuck around and shit. It is like, they want that moolah. That's kind of where it's at. I'm just trying to think of more premiere things on television. It'd probably be like Game of Thrones final season and shit like that. I don't even know. Premiere television, HBO type stuff, that sort of shit. Home box office. So I'm thinking Netflix is starting to get that popular also, just with Stranger Things and those type shows. But yeah, that's kind of the situation. If you haven't watched one of these episodes since 2015, it's like, yeah, Netflix is an undisputed champion now. Wasn't as bad in 2015, but we've got actors that have never actually done movies, that have only done Netflix shows. They can't tell the difference. And then on top of that, there's a pandemic, which is just like, oh, Netflix is this. So is Hulu, so is all them things. I like going to the movie theater, to be honest. I really do. I miss that sort of thing. I just don't want to get sick having to go. I mean, chances are, if you saw someone like coughing too much, you just moved a seat to the left, or a couple seats to the left, or something. But now, when I went to the movie theaters in 2019, and this is kind of whole thing about it is you have assigned seats. You have to pay for the seat that you want, and if you don't sit there and someone, if you sit in someone else's spot and they show tickets that you're not there, you get in trouble. So it's just kind of, I don't like the way movie theaters are now. It's idiotic. This is plain idiotic. You should be able to say, hey, I don't like this seat. There's gum stuck to the bottom of the seat. Or, I just don't like this seat. I don't want to sit on the edge seat, so I want to move a seat to the left, and some person doesn't get pissed off about it, Movie theaters were just better in the 90s. I don't know if it's like that. I mean, it's like that in Missouri. It's how it kind of is here, but I don't know if it is in, like, Utah and Nevada and Arizona and places like that. Florida, Kansas, So, but hopefully, I'm just kind of getting off on a tangent here, but I'm just kind of running out of things to talk about. I mean, I don't know if I'm going to do more Game Boy games following this game, just because some of these Game Boy games are pretty tough. Like, I might be able to do the other Wario Land, but I don't really want to. And there's not an overabundance of, like, Game Boy games. I mean, the Game Boy, this is forever going to remind me of, like, Pokemon, and then, like, RPG type games like that. But some of them, I mean, that's all it really has to offer. It's just kind of, I'd rather just do the Super Nintendo where the graphics are better and shit like that. So, I mean, I had an affinity for the Game Boy back in 2015 where I left this project off, but that's dissipated. So, but I am at least going to beat this game. And see, these Warios are idiots. That's the thing. I mean, they're smart enough to be able to kill me, but they're still stupid just in their bomb mechanics. So, it just makes, I mean, this stage is just all sorts of tough. If you don't know how to play Bomberman, it's probably gonna ass ream you. So, as you can see, that's clearly happening to me. I've died like 20 times in this. How many times have you seen the game over screen now? So, and you really do want to destroy those skulls. I mean, because that's what effectively prescribes some of that stuff, is getting poisoned and then not knowing the status effect that you're going to get from that. So, at least they are destroyable, because in some Bomberman games, all the explosion does from a bomb is just move it a couple spaces, so you can't destroy them, and it sucks. You have to infect somebody. So, it's still a brilliant game for 1994, because they really could have just allowed you to just fight one opponent and then you get to the next stage. But I'm glad that they made it in multiples. So, I mean, obviously from 2021 it's kind of whatever, but back in the 90s, especially the early 90s, it's just really like fuck yeah. Alright, so I'm running out of time. Part 9 will obviously be finishing up World 4 and maybe a little bit of World 5, but yeah, so welcome back to this game, folks. I'm going to beat this game, actually. Subscribe for more fun. Have a wonderful night. Thanks for watching.